Haseyo Chingus, welcome once again to this historical, political, and sociological channel. Today, I'm going to share with you a little bit about the origin of Halloween. Well, in USA, all of you celebrate Halloween, but in other parts of the world, people think that it has to be with devil or this is a satanic tradition, when it is not. In ancient times, the Celts took advantage of the richness that this season brought to commemorate their loved ones who passed away. For them, the division between the spiritual world and the earthly world was minimal on this date. Therefore, year after year, they gathered during Samhain, the harvest festival, to remember his people. Living people enjoyed food, alcohol, and dance. Samhain was considered by the Christian world as a pagan festival, although it dated from long before. It was punished by the Catholics and the clergy in Europe as a part of ceremonies that strayed from the faith, invoking evil spirits that had already transcended this plane of existence. Harvest festivities, however, did not focus on invoking dark spirits. On the contrary, it was time of reunion with those who had passed away. Like the Mexican celebration, this Celtic tradition focused on marking the beginning of the dark season of the year, which alluded to the winter, to the fall and the winter. Dark, however, they did not mean evil, but simply the physical lack of the light experiences this season over the higher latitudes of the northern hemisphere. History explains that celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world are broken down during Samhain, allowing for greater interaction between humans and the inhabitants of the other world. Moreover, Celtic tribes considered this to be the most significant of the four fire festival celebrations, as it occurs between the autumnal equinox and the winter solstice. It was much more likely that otherworldly specters will be able to reunite with their families. For the living felt it was more auspicious and easier to honor the spirits on October 31 each year. It was easy for they to repeat the celebration year by year. A druid priest would like an iron disc that with friction would ignite at nightfall to represent the power of the sun. While all this was going on, a ritual pyre was lit around which prayers and dances were performed in honor to the spirits. Members of the community who didn't participate in the Samhain activities, according to tradition, will be cursed until they made amends for their disrespect. Curses included illness, economic deprivation, and crop failure. In some cases, it could end in loss of life. These actions were frowned upon by Christianity, which considered them to be witchcraft and idolatry. The offerings and altars that the Celtics erected for Samhain were destroyed in the most of the cases. Hence, the most conservative branches of Catholicism continue to qualify this cultural manifestation as a demonic, and they are invalidated even today. The Celtic festival of Samhain was adopted by Christians and became Halloween. It happens to the Celtic fire festivals. People began to wear masks. The costume soon evolved into a full costumes to represent not only ghosts and ghouls, but public figures and other icons of popular culture. The ancient Celtic tradition had to migrate along with the Irish who moved to the American continent during the 19th century. Originally, the ritual masks and costumes were used as a protection against the evil spirits. Although the holiday is not faithfully celebrated in the Celtic traditions, some Celtic reminiscences still surround Halloween. Some witches of the Wiccan community still celebrating this holiday like the people in ancient times does. But they try to do this in the United States. Some communities in Ireland continue with their festivities, which although considered pagan in Catholic country, are literally on October 31 in honor to the souls that have left this world. The United States has reinvented Halloween, assimilating certain things of the original tradition. Over time, it turns into the costume party that is today, where the cult of leisure, consumerism, and terror plays a leading role. In the mid-19th century, at the height of the Industrial Revolution, there were several massive waves of Irish migrants to the United States, fleeing the terrible Great Irish Famine, search of opportunities in the New World. A significant number of Scots also immigrated. Irish and Scots brought the Halloween holiday with them to the US and Canada, sharing it with the Americans. The Irish spread the legend of Jack-o'-lantern and the tradition of carving turnips. Later, pumpkins were used because they were more readily available in the USA, and also quicker to hollow and curb. At the beginning, this celebration, massively imported by the Irish and Scots, was strongly rejected by the Puritans of the New England, who believed it to be a kind of cult of the Antichrist, but they finally accepted it. The Irish legend tells us that Jack-o'-lantern was an Irishman of bad life, very fond of drinking and gambling. On the night of October 31, the devil himself appeared before him in one of the taverns he frequented. There are several versions of this legend, but all agree that Jack managed to trick the devil and delay the moment of his death. After a while, Jack died, but he found himself in a great predicament. His life had been too sinful for him to be admitted to heaven. Since by his deception, the devil had promises not to take his souls. He could not enter to hell either. So Jack had nowhere to go. He wondered how he could find his way in the midst of the nothingness and darkness that plagued him. Since he had no light at all by the way of mockery, the devil threw him an ember from hell itself that would never stop burning. Jack hollowed out one of his turnips, which was his favorite food, put the ember inside, and began to wander eternally, aimlessly around the world to find a place to stay. Thus he became known as Jack of the Lantern, or Jack-o'-lantern. And from this sinister lantern comes the symbol of the iconic curved and illuminated pumpkin that we all know on Halloween. At the beginning of the 20th century, the famous trick-or-treat began to be practiced, where pranks were played on each other, sometimes cruelly. During the 30s, vandalism began to be practiced during the night, where many people took advantage of the accession to take it up of their neighbors and at least fill the front of their houses with stampede eggs. The first mass celebration of Halloween is considered to have taken place in 1921 with a large parade in Minnesota. Later, one of states were jumping on bandwagon and adopting the holiday. By the 1950s, Halloween has already very popular throughout to the United States and much of Canada, especially in the English-speaking area. At the end of the 70s, Hollywood would be in charge to giving it more hype and promotion thanks to the horror movies. The best known and most popular tradition in Halloween in the USA is the trick-or-treat. They ask for candy, which they put in their respective baskets or bags. The kindest neighbors will present him with a handful of candy, and if it's not, the children will play a prank or mischief on them. This game will have originated in the tradition of asking for a soul cake in Great Britain or Ireland during the Middle Ages. So it has become very fashionable to decorate houses with a wide variety of terrifying elements. Not only pumpkins with candles inside set the mood of this night, also spider webs, bats, insects, skeletons, ghosts, vampires, witches, anything goes to transform our home into a real castle of terror. What do you think about it? Did you know the history of Halloween? The origin of Halloween or the origin of this celebration? If you like it, it will help me a lot if you like, share or subscribe to my channel to reach more people. Thank you very much and see you next time. 안녕! 泣いちゃダメでも本当は言いたい